Hello and welcome to the Physio Information Podcast. I'm your host, Kerigo. Today I'm going to be talking about pelvic health myths and misconceptions, why Kegels are not always the solution. Pelvic health is a crucial aspect of overall well-being, yet it remains surrounded by myths and misconceptions. One of the most common misconceptions is that Kegel exercises are a universal solution for all pelvic health issues. While Kegels can be beneficial, they are not always the right approach. In this podcast today, I am going to debunk common pelvic health myths, clarify the role of Kegels, and highlight how pelvic health physiotherapy differs from general physiotherapy. Starting with the myths, myth number one, Kegels are the answer to all pelvic floor problems. The truth, Kegels are effective for some, but not all pelvic floor issues. Kegels strengthen the pelvic floor muscles, which can help individuals with stress incontinence and mild pelvic organ prolapse. However, not all pelvic floor dysfunctions are caused by weak muscles. Some result from excessive tension or tightness, such as vaginismus. While Kegels, when do Kegels help? Kegels help when you have stress incontinence. This occurs when physical activities like coughing, sneezing, or exercising cause urine leakage due to weak pelvic floor muscles. Strengthening these muscles can improve bladder control. Another time when Kegels help is when you have mild pelvic organ prolapse. Note the word mild. A condition where pelvic organs shift downwards due to weak supporting muscles. Strengthening the pelvic floor can help manage early stage of prolapse. Another time when Kegels can help is when you have postpartum pelvic floor dysfunction. So you're working on postpartum pelvic floor recovery. After childbirth, some women may experience weakened pelvic floor muscles, and Kegels can help them in regaining strength and function. So to be clear, Kegels are strengthening exercises, and not all pelvic floor issues are from weakness. Some are from tension or tightness. That's why we should only use Kegels when they are effective. When can Kegels make things worse? For example, if you have pelvic floor muscle tightness or spasms, very tight muscles can cause pain, discomfort, and issues like painful intercourse or difficulty emptying the bladder. If you do Kegels and you have this kind of an issue, then you're going to make it worse. Pelvic pain conditions like vaginismus and interstitial cystitis. These are conditions that involve chronic pelvic pain and muscle tension where Kegels can increase discomfort. Remember, when you have pain, muscles tend to have more tension and they tend to contract and become stiff. So when you do Kegels now, you're making it worse. So when you have issues like vaginismus or infection of the bladder, which is interstitial cystitis, and you should not be doing Kegels. Another time you should not be doing Kegels is when you have an overactive bladder. For example, you have frequency um, or urge incontinence, which may be linked to muscle overactivity rather than weakness, making Kegels counterproductive. So what am I saying? When you do Kegels and you have this condition, then you are increasing the muscle overactivity. Well, you want your muscles to relax so that you can have um, reduced urge incontinence. Myth number two, pelvic floor dysfunction only affects women. This is a myth that has been propagated even in work But the truth is, men and children can also experience pelvic floor issues. Pelvic health is often associated with pregnancy and menopause, but men can also suffer from pelvic floor dysfunction due to prostate issues, chronic pelvic pain, or post surgical complications. Common pelvic floor issues in men include chronic prostatitis or pelvic pain syndrome. This condition causes persistent pelvic discomfort, often due to muscle tension or nerve irritation. Another condition is urinary incontinence after prostate surgery. The removal of the prostate, e.g., for cancer treatment, can weaken pelvic muscles, leading to incontinence. Another condition experienced by men is erectile dysfunction related to weak pelvic muscles. A strong pelvic floor plays a role in erectile function, and weakness can contribute to performance issues. So, in children, pelvic floor issues include bedwetting due to poor bladder control. Some children have underdeveloped bladder control linked to pelvic floor coordination issues. Constipation linked to pelvic floor dysfunction. Tight or uncoordinated pelvic muscles can make bowel movements difficult and lead to chronic constipation. So you should also check in with your child. Myth number 3. Pelvic physiotherapy is the same as general physiotherapy. The truth. Pelvic physiotherapy requires specialized training and focuses on internal and external pelvic health. General physiotherapy deals with musculoskeletal and movement disorders, but pelvic physiotherapy specifically addresses bladder and bowel dysfunction, pelvic pain management, prenatal and postpartum recovery, and rehabilitation after pelvic surgery. The role of a pelvic physiotherapist. A pelvic physiotherapist uses a combination of manual therapy, biofeedback, education, and exercise therapy to help you deal with your pelvic floor dysfunction or pelvic floor problems. In conclusion, pelvic health is a more complex than a more complex process than just doing Kegels. Understanding the difference between various conditions, treatments, and the role of pelvic physiotherapy ensures better outcomes. If you are experiencing pelvic floor issues, consult a pelvic physiotherapist for personalized assessment and treatment plan. This information can be found on the website kerigo.co.ke with links to specific pelvic physiotherapists who I can recommend to help you, your husband, or the men that you know in your community, and your children. Thank you for listening. See you next time.